Just for Annie Costabo to drop this bombshell of an article, my goodness, the owners are not responding to the players' latest offer. They're not even responding to it. They're not sending an counter. They are done with the chit chat. They are done with the games and the back and forth. It looks like the owners are about to lock this.
2 weeks have passed, and the WNBA owners still haven't responded to the players' latest proposal. With the January 9th deadline now just 48 hours away, this no longer looks like a negotiation. It looks like a statement. When one side stops communicating, they've effectively already made their decision. What we're seeing right now is the clearest signal, yet that the 2026 WNBA season could be headed toward a lockout. This isn't speculation anymore. Front Office Sports dropped a bombshell on January 7th, confirming what insiders have been quietly warning about for days. The league reportedly received the union's counterproposal around December 23rd, and since then there's been nothing but radio silence. No counteroffer, no conference call, not even an acknowledgement. The owners appear to have completely checked out of the conversation.
Are seeking a salary cap of over $10 million and 30% of league revenue. We already know the owner said, "Bruh, doing something like this will cause them to lose $700 million plus dollars." Are y'all crazy? Let's get into this article, man. This is by Annie Costable. Shout out to you. Let's get into it. A little more than 40.
Here's what the players are asking for: a $10.5 million salary cap and 30% of gross revenue. To put that into perspective, the current salary cap sits at about $1.5 million, meaning this proposal represents nearly a 7-fold increase. Average salaries would jump from roughly $50,000 to well over $530,000. Under this structure, maximum contracts would start around $1.3 million and rise to approximately $2.78 million by the end of the agreement. Now, compare that to what the league offered in early December. The owners proposed 70% of net revenue, which sources say amounts to less than 15% of actual league revenue, along with raising the salary cap from $1.5 million to $5 million. While that's still a major increase, more than tripling the current cap, the players rejected it outright, essentially saying they want double money and a share of gross revenue instead of net.
They submitted roughly 2 weeks ago as of Wednesday afternoon. They haven't responded to these ladies in 2 weeks. They're done. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's over. It's over. They haven't responded. It's January 7th. The owners didn't even want the deadline to be extended this long because they was already done with the back and forth. They have not responded in 2 weeks. The deadline is in.
And this is where the math becomes a serious problem. According to ESPN's reporting, the league's financial analysts ran the numbers on the players' proposal and concluded that accepting those terms will result in roughly $700 million in losses to the league and its teams over the life of the CBA. That's not a negotiating position. That's a non-starter. To understand what that number really means, remember that the WNBA has been subsidized by the NBA for its entire existence and has never consistently turned a profit. Now the league would be committing to losses that would dwarf anything it has ever absorbed before. Yes, 2024 delivered record ratings and attendance, largely driven by the Caitlin Clark effect. But one strong year doesn't erase decades of red ink, and it certainly doesn't justify wagering $750 million on the assumption that this momentum will continue.
And its teams over the duration of the CBA, according to that report. They're not doing it. They're not doing a $10.5 million salary cap with 30. It's not happening. Caitlin Clark talked about compromise. Where's the compromise coming from, y'all? You've heard a lot of chatter about what we're asking for is not sustainable for the business, Nafisa Collier said during an Unrivaled broadcast Monday. Being on this side with Unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. Respectfully, y'all do.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Back in November, the players authorized a strike with a 98% approval vote and 93% participation, which is an overwhelming mandate. But what's especially interesting about the current situation is that the owners are the ones who have stopped responding. That means if a work stoppage happens, It will likely be a lockout initiated by ownership, not a strike called by the players. And that distinction matters. A lockout sends a very different message than a strike. When players strike, they're the ones walking away from the table. When owners lock out, they're signaling that they're done accommodating what they view as unrealistic demands. It's a clear power move, and based on the timeline, the prolonged silence from ownership, and everything unfolding right now, that appears to be exactly where this is headed.
Y'all not traveling all around the world, paying for all these bigger rings. Y'all not doing all of that, man. Stop. Y'all playing 3-on-3 in the same gym every day. No disrespect. It's cool. I'm glad everybody's making their money. I hope everybody get their money and stay healthy. But it's not the same thing. Stop it. Just stop, man. And at the same time, y'all talking about partnering with the WNBA, but you constantly taking shots. This is part of the reason they probably ain't responding to your ass.
Now let's address the unrivaled situation, because it's directly relevant here. Kelsey Plum went on an unrivaled broadcast on Monday and said, asterisk, you've heard a lot of chatter about what we're asking for is not sustainable for the business. Being on this side with unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. Asterisk, she's using Unrivaled's existence as proof that the WNBA's financial concerns are overblown, but that comparison doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Unrivaled is 3-on-3 basketball played in the same gym every day, with no travel costs beyond initially getting players to Miami, no arena rentals across 12 different cities, no charter flights crisscrossing the country for 40 games, and no massive operational overhead. They're running 6 courts in one facility and simply rotating games. The business model is completely different. Acting like operating Unrivaled for one season proves the WNBA can afford a $10.5 million salary cap. It's like comparing apples to aircraft carriers.
Numbers will climb to almost $2,780,000 respectively. So at the end of the day, man, the owners have checked out. They said, listen, man, we done with the games. We're done with the back and forth. They haven't responded for 2 weeks. The owners haven't responded to these ladies for 2 weeks. They after all of these talks, 2 extensions later, y'all are still talking about 30% of the revenue.
Here's what isn't being talked about enough. The owners have already agreed to extend the deadline twice. The original CBA was set to expire on November 30th, 2024, and both sides agreed to push it back, then did it again when that new deadline approached. The owners didn't want a second extension and were already frustrated with the back and forth, but they agreed anyway, presumably in good faith, hoping the extra time would lead to a breakthrough. Instead, the players came back with a proposal that essentially doubled what the league had offered, and now the owners have responded by not responding at all. That tells you everything about where their mindset is. They gave extra time, received an offer they view as financially impossible, and decided there's nothing left to discuss. Meanwhile, Adam Silver is publicly talking about NBA expansion into Europe. He's not at the WNBA negotiating table, not mediating, and not swooping in to save the day. The players want his involvement, his influence, and the NBA's deep pockets to help make their demands possible. But Silver's absence sends a clear message. This is the WNBA's problem to solve, not the NBA's.
On with the rookies, Caitlin Clark, the rookie contract players, the Sonia Citrons, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese's. Bring in the draft picks, Olivia Miles, Flau'jae, Lauren Betts, all of these draft picks, bring them in. You got Lexi Brown and Kalani Brown under contract, and move on replacement players at this point. I want to see Caitlin Clark play in the WNBA in 2026, and I don't care if it's against Nafisa Collier or if it's against replacement players and new drafted players. I don't give a damn. I want to watch Caitlin Clark.
So what happens if January 9th arrives without a deal? There are essentially 3 possible scenarios. First, both sides could agree to a third extension, once again kicking it down the road. But given the owners' continued silence, that feels unlikely. Why extend talks when they aren't even engaging with the current proposal? Second, the league could enter a status quo period, where the terms of the current CBA remain in effect while negotiations continue. Under that setup, players could still call a strike at any point, but only after formally terminating the extended agreement, which gives ownership some leverage by forcing the players to make the first move toward a work stoppage. Third, and increasingly the most likely outcome, The owners could lock the players out, essentially saying they are no longer operating under the current CBA and will not accept the union's terms, meaning the season won't happen until the players return with what ownership considers a more realistic proposal.